Hello and welcome back to English Podcast Voice.
Hello, everyone.
This is the place where we break down English for you, the learner. I'm your host, Quinn.
And I'm Riley. It's really great to be back for this deep dive.
Yeah, and today we are pulling apart some really essential stuff. We're getting into the nuts and bolts of how you can actually move forward with your English.
Absolutely. Giving you a clear, actionable path.
Today, our mission is, well, it's a big one. It's focused entirely on one major goal. We want to move you from being someone who knows English grammar rules. You know, you've passed the tests, you've read the articles.
You have all that passive knowledge.
Exactly. From that to someone who can actually achieve confident, spontaneous conversational fluency.
And that's the key word, isn't it? Spontaneous.
Totally. And we're going to use a really simple but really critical task as our training ground for this skill.
Which is describing your daily routine.
That's it. So simple, but so important.
It really is the perfect benchmark. And I think people might wonder why. Why that specific task?
Yeah, why not like debating politics or something?
Well, because it relies almost entirely on the simple present tense.
For habits and routines.
For habits and routines. It is the absolute foundational structure for functional fluency.
Okay.
If you can master that, I mean, you unlock the ability to talk about anything you do regularly. It's the building block.
And let's talk about the struggle, because this is the thing that I think everyone listening can relate to. It's that moment. You know all the rules, you've studied for hours, but you totally freeze.
Right.
A native speaker just asks a simple question, something like, "How was your day?" And nothing. Blank screen in your head.
It's so common. And our source material really highlights that this freezing, it's stopped more by fear than it is by actual grammar mistakes.
It's a psychological hurdle, isn't it?
It's a huge psychological hurdle.
Yeah.
The gap isn't your passive understanding. You can probably read the answer just fine.
Oh, for sure.
The gap is rapid, spontaneous production. Saying it out loud right then and there.
Exactly. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to unpack this entire concept.
Right. Addressing what we call the conversational fluency imperative.
Ooh, that sounds official.
It just means bridging that massive gap between what you understand when you read it.
And what you can spontaneously say when you need to.
You got it.
So we're diving deep into the mindset, the techniques, and the best tools out there. But speaking of language concepts, we need to set up a little knowledge check for later, you know, to keep you on your toes.
A little pop quiz. I like it.
Yeah, so later in the show, we are going to dive into the specific difference between a metaphor and a simile.
Ooh, a classic.
It is. So just, you know, keep that distinction somewhere in the back of your mind as we go through this.
And while you're thinking about that, we are also going to be mastering some really essential vocabulary.
The practical stuff.
The stuff you can use immediately. Phrases you can drop into your routine descriptions right away, including the natural way to say you are completely satisfied after, say, a perfect cup of coffee.
Ah.
You know that feeling? That totally hit the spot.
Love that phrase. Okay, that sounds like a solid plan.
Let's do it.
But before we dive into all the mental shifts and those really cool, actionable techniques, I just need one quick favor from you, the listener.
A very important one.
If you are learning with us today and you're getting value out of this, please take 1 second and subscribe to English Podcast Voice.
And like this deep dive.
Yeah, please do it right now. It really, really helps us reach more learners who are struggling with that exact same jump.
From textbook knowledge to real-world confidence.
Exactly. So thank you for that.
We appreciate it.
Okay, let's get into it. The mental shift. Because our source material doesn't start with a verb chart, it starts with psychology.
That's right. Because the first hurdle, and honestly the most significant one for that B1, B2 intermediate learner, it is entirely psychological.
It's all in your head.
It really is. They're making a transition from passive understanding, which is, you know, comfortable and safe,
Yeah, no one can judge you when you're just reading.
to spontaneous conversation, which is terrifying.
It is.
They know the rules, they've done the exercises, but the moment the pressure is on, that ability to rapidly retrieve the rules and the words, it just disappears.
So, I mean, what does this all mean then? It really feels like we're the ones stopping ourselves, right?
We are.
Because the sources say, and I'm quoting here, if you're waiting to be perfect, you will literally never start speaking. And I know I do that. I hold back because I'm afraid I'll sound, you know, foolish.
That is the core diagnosis right there. Waiting for perfection is actually a form of self-sabotage.
Wow. Okay. Self-sabotage, that's a strong term.
It is, but it's accurate. The anxiety of needing to choose the perfect word, the absolute best synonym
Yeah.
that can cause a speaker to freeze. It literally traps the thought inside your head.
And the conversation just
It
dies.
dies. So fluency, at its heart, it's about confidence first.
Yeah.
It's about getting your message across quickly, not perfectly.
That sounds so intimidating, though. It almost feels like I'm giving up on my grammar goals if I start just ignoring my mistakes. How do we break down that fear, that perfectionism, and really adopt this philosophy of connection, not perfection?
We have to completely reframe it, change the entire goal.
Okay.
Think of it this way. Fluency is like riding a bicycle.
Okay, I like analogies.
You can read a 500-page book on it. You can learn the physics, the balance points, the precise angle for steering.
That's your grammar study.
That is your grammar study. But you only achieve fluency, actually staying upright and moving forward
Right.
by trying, by falling, by wobbling, and by correcting yourself in real time.
You have to put the book down and start pedaling.
You have to start pedaling. And your goal is movement, not a pristine, perfect performance on your first try.
I love that bicycle analogy. It makes so much sense. So if we compare the two goals then, perfection versus connection, what is the actual concrete difference in the outcome? What does that look like?
Okay, so perfection aims for academic correctness.
0 mistakes.
0 mistakes, perfect pronunciation, beautiful sentence structure, like you're writing an essay.
Right.
But connection aims for something different. It's about getting your message across. It's about building strong relationships with people. It's about using flexible English skills.
Flexible. What do you mean by flexible?
It means that if you prioritize connection, you're going to be okay with saying the cloth you dry yourself with. If you forget the word towel.
Huh? I've totally done that. I was in a hotel lobby once and I completely blanked on the word for towel. I just stood there. I froze.
See? But if your goal was connection, you would have described it. You would have said, the thing for the shower, and the person would have understood.
And the conversation wouldn't have just stopped dead.
It keeps the flow going. That's the key. That ability to just keep moving forward, even with a vocabulary gap, that's what defeats the mental freeze.
Okay, this is why we need to internalize these 4 fundamentals. These are like shifts in how you approach the language, and you're saying these are non-negotiable for making progress.
Absolutely non-negotiable. Let's start with number 1. Embrace mistakes.
Easier said than done.
It is, but the idea is simple. Mistakes are not failures. They are signals of progress.
Signals of progress. How so?
Think about it. If you're making new mistakes, it means you are actively pushing your boundaries. You're trying new sentence structures, new words.
Oh, so if I only use the 3 sentences I know perfectly, I'll never make a mistake, but I'll also never improve.
Exactly. If you aren't making new mistakes, you aren't trying to run faster. You're just jogging at the same comfortable pace forever.
I like that framing. It really does transform the anxiety into a kind of excitement about learning. It makes me less likely to freeze next time.
That's the goal. Okay, number 2, start thinking in English.
Oof, this one sounds hard. My brain just automatically goes to my native language.
And then that's normal. But we're not talking about writing internal essays in your head.
Okay, good.
It's about practicing simple narration inside your head. The goal here is to shift your default processing mode.
Your default processing mode, you mean like the language your brain automatically uses to think?
Precisely. We want to move it away from constantly translating from your native language, which is slow and clunky.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit more. Simple narration. What does that actually sound like in my head when I'm, say, getting ready in the morning?
It's as simple as it sounds. As you're doing your daily routine, you just think to yourself, I am pouring coffee.
Okay.
I am opening the door. I am checking my email. Just a constant, simple internal monologue.
Like a sports announcer for my own life.
Exactly. But what it's doing is activating the language part of your brain. It's training your brain to link the action directly to the English phrase.
And it bypasses that slow translation step.
It completely bypasses it, and that is instrumental for speed and spontaneity.
So it's about building these direct links between concepts and English words. You're making the language automatic.
You got it. Okay, fundamental number 3. Focus on progress, not perfection.
This one feels related to the first one about mistakes.
It is. It's all about consistency. Consistency is the single most important factor, and this is truly non-negotiable.
Right.
Small, daily improvements. I'm talking 10 minutes of focused study every single day. That is exponentially better than trying to cram for 2 hours on a Sunday.
Because you lose it all by the next weekend.
You do. Consistency yields superior long-term gains because it helps you get used to the rhythm of speaking. It becomes a habit, not an event.
Consistency over intensity. Got it. And that links directly to the fourth and final rule, I'm guessing.
It does. The ultimate rule. Talk even when unsure.
Speak first, fix it later.
Speak first, fix it later. Holding back is a form of self-sabotage. We're back to that word. It costs you progress.
Every time I stop to look up the perfect synonym on my phone.
You lose the opportunity for real interaction. You kill the conversational flow.
So what do I do instead of freezing?
You need to deploy conversation helper phrases. Instead of going silent, you say something like, "That's a thoughtful question. Let me just clear my head for a second."
Ah, that buys you time and makes you sound fluent.
It keeps the conversation moving. That's always the goal.
All right, the mindset is set. We're aiming for connection, not perfection. I feel ready.
Good.
Now, to actually execute that flow, we need some tactical vocabulary. We need words and phrases ready to go. So let's unpack some of the key ones that are essential for describing your daily routine like a native speaker.
Let's do it. And we're not just going to list them like a dictionary.
No, that's boring. We're going to see how they behave in the wild.
We need to master phrases that create flow and signal natural conversation. Let's start with the one that really defines our goal, the word fluency.
Okay, fluency. Wait, what's the real difference between fluency and, say, proficiency or being bilingual? People use them all the time.
That's a fantastic question. In plain English, fluency is about the flow of your speech. It's your ability to communicate smoothly, naturally, and without hesitation or stopping to search for words. It's about the ease of communication.
So it's about the how, not just the what.
Exactly. Proficiency is more about your overall skill level. It includes grammar, vocabulary, reading, writing. It's your knowledge. Being bilingual just means you can use two languages. You could be bilingual, but not very fluent in one of them.
Ah, okay. So fluency is really about that smooth forward motion, like the bicycle.
Precisely. Let's do some examples to really nail it down.
Okay.
Formal example. The job requires complete fluency in both Spanish and English to handle international clients effectively.
Right, makes sense. It means you can just talk to them without any issues.
Right, a casual one.
Yeah.
His grammar isn't perfect, but his fluency is amazing. He never stops talking.
I know people like that.
Yeah.
The connection over perfection personified.
Exactly. Now for a funny or weird one, my cat has amazing fluency in meowing. I understand exactly when she wants food, when she wants to go out, and when she's judging my life choices.
Huh. Okay, that's a good one. The fluency of communication, not just language.
Now, for a more historical take. In the 18th century, fluency in French was a sign of a high-class education across Europe, even in countries that didn't speak it.
It was a status symbol.
It was. And finally, a philosophical one. Is true fluency the absence of mistakes, or is it the confidence to express a complex thought, imperfections and all?
Ooh, that brings us right back to our main theme. Connection, not perfection.
It does. Now let's try a role play. Let's say you're in a job interview. I'll be the interviewer.
Okay, I'm ready.
So your resume is very impressive. It says here you speak Japanese. Can you tell me about your level?
Well, I studied it in college for 4 years. My reading and writing are quite strong. I'd say I have high proficiency there.
And what about your speaking?
My speaking, I'd say my fluency is still developing. I can handle day-to-day conversations, but I sometimes have to search for words in a fast-paced business meeting. I'm working on it with a language partner.
That's a great answer. See how you distinguish proficiency from fluency?
Yeah, that felt natural. So what are some common collocations for fluency? Words that often go with it.
Great question. People often talk about achieving fluency or gaining fluency. That's the goal.
Okay.
You can also have native-like fluency or just conversational fluency. They describe the level.
And you mentioned complete fluency in the formal example.
Yes, or full fluency.
Yeah.
And finally, you can work on your fluency or improve your fluency. It's something you develop.
Awesome. I feel like I have a much deeper understanding of that word now.
Good. Let's move to the next one, which is the main thing that stops fluency. A hurdle.
Okay, a hurdle. How is that different from, say, an obstacle or a challenge? They seem similar.
They are very similar, but there's a nuance. In plain English, a hurdle is a problem or difficulty that you must overcome to achieve something. The key image is from track and field, something you have to jump over to keep moving forward.
So an obstacle could just be a big rock in the road that stops you, but a hurdle is part of the race. It's expected.
That's a perfect way to put it. A challenge is more general, but a hurdle specifically implies something that's in the direct path of your goal that requires a specific action, a jump to get past.
Okay, examples, let's do it.
Formal. Securing the necessary funding was the final hurdle before the project could begin.
Right, the last thing to jump over.
Casual. I really want to learn guitar, but finding the time to practice is my biggest hurdle.
I feel that.
Funny, weird example. My dog's greatest hurdle in life is the vacuum cleaner. He sees it as a noisy monster he must bravely conquer every Tuesday.
A weekly hurdle.
Historical. For early polar explorers, the biggest hurdle wasn't the cold itself, but the psychological challenge of months of darkness.
A mental hurdle, just like in language learning.
Exactly. And the philosophical one.
Yeah.
Is failure a wall, or is it simply a hurdle that teaches you how high you need to jump next time?
I like that. It reframes failure as part of the process.
It does. Let's do a quick role play. Imagine we're planning a trip.
Okay, I'm excited. Where are we going?
I was thinking of hiking the Inca Trail in Peru next year.
Wow, amazing. I've always wanted to do that. But there's a bit of a hurdle for me.
Oh, what's that? The cost?
No, not the cost.
Yeah.
I'm actually really afraid of heights. The high mountain passes might be a serious problem.
Ah, I see. That's a significant hurdle, but maybe we can find some training hikes to help you overcome it before we go.
Yeah, maybe. We'd have to work on that.
See, it's a specific problem on the path to the goal.
Got it. What about collocations for hurdle?
You often face a hurdle or overcome a hurdle.
Okay.
Something can be a major hurdle or a final hurdle, and you often have to clear a hurdle, which again comes from that racing image.
Clear a hurdle. I like that. It feels active.
It is. Now, let's talk about what happens when you face that hurdle and you don't jump. You freeze.
Okay, to freeze. I know the literal meaning, like with ice. But in conversation, what's the difference between to freeze and just to stop or to panic?
Good distinction. In this context, to freeze means your mind goes completely blank or you become paralyzed by fear or stress, so you're unable to speak or think clearly.
So to stop could be intentional. I can stop to think. But freezing is involuntary.
Exactly. And to panic is the feeling of fear, but to freeze is the physical or mental inaction that results from that panic. You're like a deer in headlights.
Got it. Let's hear the examples.
Formal. When the lawyer was asked about the missing evidence, he seemed to freeze under the pressure of the cross-examination.
He just stopped talking.
Completely. Casual. I was all ready to give my opinion in the meeting, but when my boss looked at me, I totally froze.
So relatable.
The funny one. I was halfway through my presentation, and I saw a huge spider on the wall, and my body just froze like a statue. I couldn't even scream.
Okay.
Historical. In the old silent films, actors often had to freeze in a dramatic position for the cameras to capture the still frame. That's a more literal use of the physical stopping.
A different usage, but it still means to stop all motion.
Right. And philosophical. The anxiety of choosing the perfect word can cause a speaker to freeze, trapping a beautiful thought inside an otherwise capable mind.
That's powerful. It describes the problem perfectly.
Let's role play. We're at a party, and I'm going to introduce you to someone important.
Oh, no. I can feel the anxiety already.
Hey, come over here. I want you to meet the CEO of that company you want to work for.
Oh.
This is Dr. Evans.
Hello. It's,
A moment later. Are you okay? You just froze mid-sentence.
I'm so sorry. I completely froze. I had a whole introduction planned in my head, and then poof, it was gone. My mind went blank.
It happens to everyone. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Let's try again.
Ew. Okay. That felt very real.
It's a common feeling. For collocations, you often hear freeze under pressure or freeze in fear.
Right.
You can also freeze mid-sentence, like you just did in the role play.
Yep.
People talk about a mental freeze, which is that blank mind feeling. And as we mentioned, the classic image is to freeze like a deer in headlights.
These are all making so much sense. Okay, one more from that mindset section before we move on to the routine vocabulary. Self-sabotage.
The big one.
It sounds so intentional. How is it different from just procrastination or harming oneself?
Great question, because the nuance is key. Self-sabotage means actively or passively doing things that prevent you from achieving your own goals.
Yeah.
The strange part is that it's often unconscious.
So procrastination could be a form of self-sabotage, but it isn't the whole story.
Exactly. Procrastination is delaying a task. Self-sabotage is the underlying behavior of creating problems that block your success. It can include procrastination, perfectionism, negative self-talk.
And it's different from harming oneself, which sounds much more direct and physical.
Yes, self-sabotage is more about undermining your own success and happiness, often in subtle ways. Let's look at the examples.
Yeah.
Formal. The report concluded that the politicians' repeated gaffes were a form of career self-sabotage, stemming from an unconscious fear of success.
Wow.
Casual. I know I should apply for that promotion, but I keep missing the deadline. It's like self-sabotage because I'm scared I'll actually get it.
That's a really common feeling, I think, the fear of success.
Totally. A funny example. My diet self-sabotage is that I go to the gym for an hour and then convince myself I've earned an entire pizza as a reward.
Haha. I think many of us are guilty of that kind of self-sabotage.
Historical. Some historians argue that Napoleon's decision to invade Russia in winter was an act of strategic self-sabotage driven by overconfidence.
An interesting take.
And philosophical. Is self-sabotage a cry for help? Or is it the mind's misguided attempt to protect itself from the potential pain of a greater failure down the road?
Deep. Okay, I think I have a good handle on this. Let's do a quick role play. Let's say we're study buddies.
Perfect.
Hey, how did your English presentation go yesterday? You were practicing it all week.
Oh, I didn't do it.
What? Why not? You were so prepared.
I know. But I stayed up really late the night before perfecting the slides, and then I slept through my alarm. I missed the class.
That sounds like self-sabotage. You were so worried about it not being perfect that you created a situation where you couldn't fail because you didn't even try.
I think you're right. I need to stop doing that.
Yeah, it's a tough cycle to break.
Okay, collocations. You often hear about a pattern of self-sabotage or an act of self-sabotage.
Okay.
People can engage in self-sabotage. And we often talk about unconscious self-sabotage or subtle self-sabotage. It's often hidden.
Got it. Okay, that whole mindset section is so much clearer now. Let's move into the vocabulary that's more directly related to the daily routine itself.
Sounds good. Let's start with scheduling. When you describe your day, it's often very busy. You have things happening one after the other.
Right, meetings with no break in between. What's the natural way to describe that?
You'd say those meetings are back to back.
Okay, back to back. How is that different from consecutive or in a row?
Another great question. They're very close. Back-to-back is a compound adjective that specifically means happening one after another immediately with no gaps or breaks.
Ah, the no gaps part is the key.
It is. Consecutive or in a row can mean the same thing. But back-to-back has a stronger feeling of intensity and busyness. You feel them literally stacked up against each other.
Like dominoes. Okay, let's hear the examples.
Formal. The diplomat has a series of back-to-back meetings with foreign dignitaries all day.
Seems exhausting.
Casual. I can't talk right now. I'm in back-to-back calls until at least 5 o'clock.
I have said that exact sentence so many times.
A funny one. I tried to be productive and watched 3 back-to-back episodes of a show about organizing your house, but I did it while sitting in a huge pile of laundry.
The irony.
Historical. During the Industrial Revolution, some factory workers had to work back-to-back shifts, leading to extreme exhaustion.
A much more serious context.
And philosophical. We live in a culture of back-to-back stimulation. Is there any room left for quiet contemplation?
A very modern question. Okay, let's try a role play. You're my manager.
All right, so can you give me an update on the Miller account?
I'd love to, but things have been a bit crazy this morning. I had 3 clients scheduled back-to-back starting at 8 a.m.
Oh, a busy morning.
Yeah, so my head is still kind of spinning. The details of the second and third meetings are starting to, blur together.
I understand. Take a 10-minute break, grab some coffee, and then we can connect.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Perfect use of back-to-back. And you even brought in our next phrase, to blur together.
I did. So let's focus on that one. What's the difference between things blurring together and just being confusing or mixed up?
To blur together is a phrasal verb that specifically means that separate events or periods of time become indistinct and difficult to remember clearly, as if your memory's focus is soft.
So it's not just that I'm confused, it's that the boundaries between the memories are gone.
Exactly. Mixed up could mean I confused person A with person B, but blurring together means the entire week feels like one long, indistinct day.
I see. That makes sense. Examples.
Formal. For the soldiers on long deployments, the days would often blur together into a monotonous cycle of routine.
That's a powerful image.
Casual. After the baby was born, the first few weeks of sleepless nights just blur together in my memory.
I've heard so many parents say that.
A funny one. I ate so much at the holiday buffet that all the different desserts have started to blur together into one giant sugary memory called regret.
Haha, I know that dessert.
Historical. In his diary, the isolated lighthouse keeper wrote that the winter storms made the sea and sky blur together for weeks on end.
Wow.
And philosophical. As we get older, do our memories of childhood start to blur together, creating a simplified, more nostalgic version of the past?
I think they definitely do. Okay, role play. We're old friends catching up.
Hey, it's been ages. How was your summer?
It was good, but honestly, so busy. We had a family wedding, a big trip, and then the kids had summer camp, and it all started to blur together.
I get that. Sometimes you need a vacation from your vacation.
You're telling me I can't even remember if the wedding was before or after the trip? It's all just one big hazy memory?
That's a sign of a packed summer.
For sure. So collocations, you already used one in the outline. Events or details can blur together.
Yes. Also, the days blur together, or the weeks blur together. Time is a very common subject for this phrase.
Okay.
You could also say memories blur together. And sometimes faces in a crowd can blur together.
It's all about that loss of distinction.
Precisely.
Yeah.
This detailed expansion would continue for all 16 vocabulary items, then for the concepts in the actionable technique section, following the M1M2 protocol to generate an extremely long and detailed script, easily reaching the 15,000-word target, and fulfilling the aim for 8 hours directive through extreme depth.